Hello, everyone, and welcome to Leprechaun Alley. My name is Carrie Perillo.
And my name is Michael Perillo, G.
We are doing live readings every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We are doing live astrology readings from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. or give or take. So we're just getting started. We're working out some of the bugs, obviously. And if I had all the bugs worked out before I went on, we'd never end up showing up.
Right.
So I'm just getting some stuff off the printer, so don't mind me. And
today we're, while Carrie gets more
keep talking.
organized, today we're going to talk about the relationship between planets and signs. Our first podcast, we talked a little bit about how we met, how Carrie and I met. We indicated some of the astrological events that took place and that we understood or were revealed in that meeting, and how astrology would have predicted it. If you'd like to look at that, you can go back to our first podcast. So I guess we'll be ready now.
Yeah, just go ahead and keep talking. I'm just printing.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the sign Aries, because it's our first sign. And I'm going to keep the discussion down to just Western astrology. If you went to our first podcast, we did mention that we practice three types of astrologies. There are more than 90 astrological types in the world. So we understand that our astrology only is limited to what is now called Greek Roman astrology. It originated in Babylon. In any event, without getting into too much history, and we will, of course, during our podcasts, always give a little more information on the pertinent facts about astrology, so as that we don't bore you in one session telling you only about that. So, getting on to the sign Aries. The sign Aries is the first sign of the Western zodiac. It is the beginning, and everyone that gets into astrology will learn that the sign Aries is the child of the Western zodiac. It is ruled by the planet Mars. Mars, in Western astrology, is known as the planet of war. They call it in astronomy, and in popular discussions, it's referred to as the red planet. And red standing for war. That's what the red stands for. And basically, more or less, that is what Mars stands for, but that is not limited to only war. War happens to be that part of Mars that seems to be most popular. So in order to give you an idea of how you would interpret Mars and Aries, we will discuss that when we get to deeper levels of astrology. But for the time being, so that we can show how it can be used practically, we'll start with myself. My Mars, even though, first of all, as I mentioned in the past podcast, my sign is Aries, and I am ruled by the planet Mars. However, we have to do a chart to find out where Mars actually was at the time of birth. And that is how you will begin to appreciate our astrological nature. It happens that my Mars was in the sign Cancer. Now, this is important to know because Mars is supposed to be about war. Cancer is about home and gratification. It's about comfort. It's about inner feelings. Feelings, big part of Cancer. Feelings are the most important thing to Cancer. So now we have Mars in the sign Cancer. In astrology, we say that Mars is in its fall. These discussions about fall, rise, being in detriment and exaltation, we will get into that discussion as these podcasts go on. So what we can say, and I will give the mic to Carrie after I complete this little bit on Mars. So when we look at Mars in my chart, it is not about going out and attacking. It's not about being grandeur. It's not showing off. My Mars is, in fact, about my feeling. And if anybody were to read my 400 or 500 poems that I've written since the time I was 12 years old,
He's an
onto
unbelievably gifted poet.
my poetry deals so much with feeling. One would not consider me an Aries on that basis. So now you're getting an idea, just a small idea, of how planets affect us and how they change according to where they are. It gets more complex, but we'll just bear with us, and over time, you will learn all about astrology in the proper way. You will understand the mechanics of the astrology, how their dynamic natures may or may not conflict with our thinking, and how they present themselves as we present ourselves in public. Now I will give the mic to Carrie.
I also like to view Mars from the perspective of energy. It's a planet that indicates energy. And so while he has Mars in Cancer, which is a deeply feeling sign and also a very active sign, right? Because it's cardinal. The cardinal signs are when you find you're moving full speed ahead.
Your Mars is in Libra.
My
correct?
Mars is in Libra.
There's a difference in this, and Carrie will explain it.
How was that?
Mars in Libra.
Yes.
So Mars is considered in its fall. It's in detriment. It is in detriment because when a planet sits in the opposite of the ruler,
it is not fall, it's detriment.
Detriment, right?
Yes.
It's detriment
fall
because
is the Cancer.
It's in detriment because it is opposite the ruler. The ruler is air. It's ruling Aries. Libra is the opposite of Aries. So when a planet that rules a sign is in the opposite sign, it's considered detriment, which means difficulty. It suffers. And Carrie will tell you that it also represents the male that she's attracted to. So the type of men you've attracted to.
Right. So so that would be interesting because what part of that, which is interesting because actually the moon is conjunct my Libra and Scorpio. But for my marriage partner or the people that I'm attracted to, what I find or that I have these men that have just these
the men that you attract.
Right.
You have to let them also know. Sorry to interrupt. That Mars in a woman's chart represents the male energies that she's attracted to or would do well with, and in her case, she's attracting two men that are weak, and she will explain.
Well, I mean, that's one way to put it. But additionally, what I'm attracted to are men who are artistic with Mars and Libra. I like men who are gifted, who are skilled, who are refined, but can also do things hands-on.
Which shows that detriment doesn't necessarily mean that the man she gets involved with is a bum, but it means that he's unusual. He's not typical of the male.
Right. And my first husband, God rest his soul, is deceased. He was indigenous and was mixed. His blue eyes, really beautiful. Looked a little bit like who was it? Elizabeth Taylor's husband?
Richard Burton.
Richard Burton.
Yeah,
they actually look quite a bit alike.
Well, you failed to mention that he was
they're both Scorpio. Yeah.
Right. So she, with Mars and Scorpio, she actually gravitated to a man who is a Scorpio by sun sign. So, which is very interesting.
Yes, yeah. And so I was very attracted to him. We are connected, very spiritual. He was very close to a medicine man. And I was always very austere, and that was always my primary purpose. And the odd thing as well is that despite being attracted to these artistic types, I also inadvertently married alpha males. So even though that you can see that, the masculinity with a Mars, like a Mars in Cancer.
Well, let's explain that the alpha male would rise out of the sign Mars.
Right.
Mars being primal.
Right.
And the sun signs, Mars rules Aries, and it also rules Scorpio. So we would be both alpha type males.
Right.
Just by virtue that we're ruled by Mars. That doesn't go away because it's in another sign.
So we have that, and of course, my first husband was actually a very talented silversmith, any type of metal, really, and he had a really interesting mind, incredible visuospatial relationships. And Michael, as well, also has those qualities. He makes these beautiful architectural drawings. He has the old board, he has the old school setup, and he makes these incredibly beautiful drawings. And when his landscaping, when he was doing water features, he produced these unbelievable water features, just beautiful.
They were all original. Not one was a copy of another.
And the thing that's so interesting, though, is that the masculinity, the force, the power, now that's going to be a combination also with your year, which is year of the dog. Hi.
We are not going to have a big discussion on
so
the
I can see.
Chinese
Hi,
year this
Angelita.
time.
How are you?
So we have a
yes, we
person
are
on the line.
Hi, Angelita. Yes, we are in Eastern time. So it's 1 p.m. Eastern time. I was trying not to conflict with some of the other mystics that I am huge fan of. So yeah, so it would be Central time, it would be noon, Mountain time 11, California time or Pacific time, it would be 10.
So what happened to her?
So welcome. Yes, we are in, oh, yes, we wanted to tell you, yes, we are live in New York. We are in Long Island. And so that's what our time zone is based on. So it is Eastern time. So continuing on.
She's not there?
Oh, you didn't get notification. Okay, so notifications. Okay, so thank you. See, it's hello, Macheco. I hope we're pronouncing that correctly. Oh, wow, thank you so much. So Michael can't see over here as well as I can.
Oh, you have to see them, what they say by typing?
Oh, wait, no, what was that? No, wait, there. I trying to make this bigger. Over here is the chat room. So do you want to switch seats?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I mean, well, you can read what it says.
I'm so sorry about the notifications. So I'll have to work those out. So those are the bugs that I'm working out. And thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate all the feedback. So when we were talking about, if you want to do a live astrology reading, just all you have to do is just give us your birthday. We don't need the time of birth or anything. The reason that we're able to do this live astrologically is because we're able to fuse the Chinese and Western.
Right, we're able to put two systems together rapidly.
Right.
The Indian system from India, Jyotish, it's a very complex system that requires a lot of calculations. So those are going to be handled in a different way than on the podcast. As
time wears on, I'm working on putting together programs that I can do somewhat on the spot. But the Vedic astrology, as I do those presentations, those are going to be more individual charts, maybe the chart of a country, maybe some insight and a conversation about, how the rishis were able to come up with this incredibly interesting formulation. And the energies that are incorporated into that. So I'll be doing that, more of a presentation, and I'll see if I can organize it to do it live, but Western and Chinese for now, live.
But we will add some of the Jyotish in because with some light calculations, we actually we don't even need calculations, but there are some signs we do. We have to find where when we do Jyotish, they use a sidereal zodiac, which means you may be more than the sign that you think you are. And we'll get into that as we go on further with these podcasts.
So you also, if there's anybody that you want to know about, you can also request anyone. Say, do you know so-and-so's data? Do you know what their signs are? It can be a famous person. It can be a relative. Anything you're trying to work out in your relationships, we'll read for whoever it is that you request. And what's so nice about this format is that the primary questions we have in our lives are relational. And it's the day-to-day stuff. It's the day-to-day moments. Like, how do we interact with this person? Why are they so difficult? Or why are they so great? And why am I butting heads? Or why does this just have such a flow? Or why did it work so great now? But you know what? In a few months, all of a sudden, everything just fizzled. So those are the things that we primarily discuss. and being able to just quickly review and reveal what's going on with the Chinese and Western signs gives us an incredible amount of insight and really helps us shift gears in terms of how we want to approach other people do.
When you
Or other
know,
people too.
when you know the
Here we go.
astrological positions of other people, it allows you to be more tolerant because you start to recognize that some of these things are innate.
Okay, so we have Angelita. Welcome, Liz. Thank you for coming. So Angelita was born May 24th, 1950.
Oh,
Wow,
geez.
you are in good company. My mom is 1950.
Gemini, the year of the tiger.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Very interesting because, well, of course, we will be teaching more and more of this so you'll understand why we say what we say. Gemini in China, in the Chinese system, belongs to the year of the horse. And the 1950 happens to be the year of the tiger. The tiger belongs to,
which is our year now.
Which
so
is the
you're
year
also
we're
going
in.
for your second Saturn return,
Right,
which should be a
so-
little easier than the first.
so this will be her 60th birthday.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right.
1950, correct?
Oh, no, she already went through a second Saturn return. Now she's, no, not that.
Oh yeah, well
Sorry.
that's different from the Saturn return.
I'm thinking, yeah, that's not, yeah.
So she now what this means is that
You've already went through that. Yeah.
if we look at Western and Eastern astrology, Western astrology, there is 12 months, and we have signs for each of the months. In the Chinese system, we have 12 years. They follow a lunar calendar, and it's ruled more like it's moving at the distance and at the level of one sign per year. So there are 12 signs, 12 years. And Jupiter moves in a cycle of 12 years. In any event, not to get lost with that. So we have here a Gemini born in the sign of Tiger. The Tiger corresponds to the month of Aquarius.
Oh, she just let me know. I wanted to let you know too. So, and her husband was born the 8th of June, 1949. So they're both Geminis.
1949?
Yep. So she married a buffalo.
Well, he's a very balanced Gemini.
Yeah.
China considers the 49 buffalo to be one of the most complete types of individuals because they have the horse as their month and the buffalo as the year.
So there would be some showmanship.
Well, the horse is very
on.
excitable,
Yes.
but the buffalo is very tamed, very regulated, very controlled. So we have a very balanced
Reserved.
Gemini. This is a Gemini that you can depend on, that will usually tell you the way things are, the
Right.
facts of life. At the same time, be very eloquent in their speech and in their way and their various interests, because Gemini has many, many, many varied interests. So we would say that this is a very pleasant person to be around. Would have some slight difficulties with the Tiger month, the Tiger year. However, China says the best combination in marriage is when you marry your enemy. In China, the tiger and the buffalo are enemies. The two of you are married, but both of you are Gemini, and in Western astrology, two Geminis are supposed to be extremely well together. So what has happened is you've taken your two negative forces, combined them to become one unified force. You have both the veracity and the cleverness of the tiger with the simplicity, the honesty, and hardworking, conscientious buffalo. This is a very, very nice combination. Very nice.
The tiger, so what they say about the tiger is, well, first of all, the tiger is all about knowledge. Now, it corresponds to the sign Aquarius. So the year corresponds to the month.
So what's her name again? What's her name?
Oh, this is Angelita.
Angelita.
He can't see the writing,
Okay,
so I have to tell him.
Angelita, the fact that you are month of the horse, year of the tiger, is very good because these two represents two of our air signs. There are 3 air signs in Western astrology. The other air sign is Libra. So it's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. You happen to have 2 of them in a major place. The sun sign is Gemini, and your Eastern sign, or the Chinese zodiac, the year is
Tiger.
the tiger, which is
The metal tiger.
It's also an air sign.
Right.
And that's why you have good rapport between the mind and the heart.
So what's important about the tiger is, well, first of all, your year is metal. The natural element of the tiger is wood. So this is kind of a tough year for you. You have to work, you feel like maybe inside more. You have to work a little harder than other tigers to really get what you want. Like you kind of feel like maybe you're cut off.
But she's going to be comfortable because it's a
Right.
metal tiger this year.
No, it's
It's a water tiger.
Oh,
Oh,
this
no,
year,
this will be safe for her.
this will be a safe year.
Yes, water is the friend of metal
So-
in China.
Right. And so with metal, the number one, we have more people that are cussing now. With
Okay.
metal, the number one issue that we have is that we don't want to embarrass ourselves. I'm a metal
Right,
dog. I was born in
They have
1970.
to present themselves
If
very
I drop
well.
something on the floor or somebody sees me trip, I feel so embarrassed.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And
Because
obviously, the older that we get, obviously that's going to decrease. But even when we're little kids, you were like, I don't want to embarrass myself.
Well, metal, China says metal needs to shine, and that means you can't have imperfections
Right.
around you.
Okay.
Anyway, it was good talking to you.
And well, I just wanted to briefly say, so with the buffalo is about King Arthur. It's about responsibility, and
honor,
and
country.
their natural element is water, but his year is earth.
And he
So
takes a lot of
keeps-
weight. He
right.
carries a lot of
He
weight.
keeps a lot of things to himself, but he can also come off as Bruce Springsteen. They called him the boss. He
The
can
boss,
come off as
right.
bossy.
Because
Because-
the buffalo is the one who wants to be in charge.
He is about being responsible, and he's miserable until everybody else is happy. But he also is demanding in terms of your happiness. No, you have to get to work
By
and you
the
have
way-
to do it.
By the way, Bruce
Right.
Springsteen is born in 1949.
Right, that's what we're talking about. Who's
Same-
Bruce Springsteen?
They
is the
refer to
same
him
year.
as the boss, and
So-
that's China says the buffalo is the boss.
And the tiger never stops asking questions.
Well,
That-
the
that's-
tiger is the one that
it's the sign of
the tiger is the
knowledge.
one that really is the boss.
Gosh, right,
But
right.
the buffalo is the one who exposes himself as the one who's responsible, just like King Arthur did.
Right. Like the
he
tiger
was there for all men.
Exactly. And the tiger, they'll let things go by. They'll just whatever, it's cool, it's cool, it's
Right.
cool.
When they're not hungry,
Until it's not
when
right.
they're not hungry, you can step all over them. But once they get hungry, well, China says when the tiger rises from its sleep, all must run.
Yes. And they say if one of you gets hungry, you know who will
Well,
eat.
you and the tiger are good friends until one of you get hungry. Then you know who will eat.
So the important thing about the tiger is that when you're working, you want people to stay the heck out of your way. You just want to get it done. And when you're sleeping, you don't want
You
to
don't
get
want to
up.
be disturbed.
And so you will, and you will present as a very hard worker.
Inertia is
Right.
the expression of the tiger. It
You
does
won't
not
go down
like to
until
change.
everything is done. Yep.
Does not like change.
So, and what I wanted to say, this is important about the Gemini.
Well, this is very colorful. The Gemini tiger is very colorful.
Yeah, that the personality.
We
that
would both get
really-
along with her very well.
Yeah, that personality really helps fill you up with your own knowledge and information, so you're able to quell your own
They
curiosities.
are able to feed back to themselves because
Right.
tigers like to be alone.
Right.
If you study the nature of tigers, they need to be alone. Even males
so-
and females like to be separated. Males and separated from other
Oh,
males, and females separated from other females. Tigers need to be alone. They don't like people interfering with them. Unless they want to. Then, as we said, when one of you get hungry, you know who will eat.
And it's not a surprise. She's been married to her husband for 50 years.
Oh,
Not a surprise. Tigers take a long time to fall in love and a long time to fall out of
and
it.
buffaloes need someone they can be sure of because they
Right.
can be fooled in love. But the tiger will not cheat, usually not.
No, exactly. So, oh, good. I'm so glad. Oh, and he also does keep to himself, and he's also indigenous. Her husband is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wow!
Very
Thank you
interesting.
so much for your feedback. Oh,
And we hope to
geez.
hear from you again.
Yes.
As we go on
Now,
with our
Liz-
podcast, we'll
Liz
get
has
more
a
interesting.
question. She has a question about her daughter. Oh, this will be fun. 12/26. That's his daughter's birthday.
1227 is my
Or
daughter.
20. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, it's close.
Yeah, and then it's 2000. So yes, it is Capricorn. And
2000.
yep, 2000. Her daughter is a metal dragon.
Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc is
Capricorn
Capricorn
dragon. Joan of Arc was a year of the dragon and the month of Capricorn. And that is your daughter. The month of Capricorn, the year of the dragon. But this is a metal year, which is similar to
Oh, she's so cute.
Angelita, right? It's a metal.
Oh no, this is Liz. Now this
Oh,
is
this is Liz.
His daughter's name is also Liz, by the way.
Oh,
So
okay. So this is Liz.
yeah.
And Liz is
She is. She just gave me her birthday now. So her birthday is 6/1/71. So she's Gemini year of the pig as well, a metal pig.
71 pig.
And her daughter's a dragon.
And oh, well, this is a
nice.
Who shall rule? This
yes,
can be testy.
Who shall rule?
This can be very testy. The pig and the dragon represent the two signs ruled by Mars. The dragon being ruled by the sign Aries, and the pig in the sign Scorpio. These are two Martian signs. They are the war signs. That does not mean they like to kill.
Right.
War means that they are willing to sacrifice their bodies,
the sacrificial sign,
for the good or for the safety of mankind. And these two signs are the ones who will go out and allow themselves to be killed on behalf of their loved ones. The difference between them is the method of attack. The dragon is instantaneous, and the pig is deliberate. So if there is a conflict between mother and daughter, it's not obvious until the dragon starts to get more mature and wants to be more independent, and where the pig starts to feel that they're losing control of their daughter, then there may be more conflict.
And she will definitely. Oh, so I wanted to say this. So you're also both the element of metal. So it's the years. So
yeah, they should partner together pretty well.
We did present initially, so we should just cover this briefly. How we determine the elements, how those things are decided. First of all, there are the natural elements of the animals. Right. The natural element of the pig or the boar.
China has two sets of elements. One set belonging to each of the animals, and the other set belonging to the years. To the animals, they come in a string of 3 at a time until they have 4 elements and 12 signs. In the years, they have 5 elements, and they share 2 years each, one right after the other. One being the yang element of it, the other one being the yin. Gary will explain how you can determine what element you are in the Chinese calendar.
Okay, and just don't worry when we discuss the war signs. I want everybody to understand that every orientation we come from is that we live in a cohesive universe, whether it feels like it or not. So what we're describing is the order and way that things go together. There's no moralizing here. This is just how things are connected and how we can work with them. And everything is love.
And when we give you information about, but not necessarily that they have to. These things are more or less subliminal in many times. Oftentimes they're very obvious. That the fact of the matter is that astrology can only impel. It gives you a sense of what might happen, what the conditions may be that are predictable, but the outcome is never predictable. So you cannot use astrology or any other thing to predict, but not outcome, but you can predict condition. And then these conditions are set by understanding elements and planets and all of that, which we will cover during the course of these podcasts.
So some things that you might encounter with your daughter, especially with so she's definitely going to like money. She's definitely going to have a preference for upward mobility. She's definitely going to have either really good taste or just really very blingy, very glittery, very pretty. This is very attractive. That Capricorn and that dragon.
What you need to know, because she's the year of the dragon.
Well, I just wanted to say, so because she acts so quickly and so rapidly when she speaks, and things are probably calming down now because she's 21. Usually between 21 to 24 is when our kids come back and go, yeah, sorry about that. But so she'll have a tendency, she'll speak so quickly and rapidly that it may really hurt your feelings.
The dragon matures slowly.
Right.
And the buffalo needs to have a lot of experiences before.
She's month of the buffalo, that's what he's explaining.
The month of the buffalo, right. This is the Capricorn. We may have failed to mention that. That corresponds to the Chinese year of the buffalo, which here in the United States is called the ox, so that you know what we're talking about.
Oh, she's pre-med. This is fantastic. She's that is excellent. So she is going to be a really hard worker.
She's a double cardinal.
Yeah.
This is another thing we will be discussing too. Cardinal means the beginning of the season. It represents movability. So she's self-moving. She doesn't require someone to make her do something or to force her into something. She's ready to go all the time. In fact, one of the things about the dragon is that they're ceaseless. They never stop. They go on, and they are full of energy. You do not want your dragon to become depressed because for the dragon, it's near death. And for the Capricorn, it's embarrassment when there's failure. So
But
they
she
have
has a lot of courage.
there's a sensitivity. But let's not forget that being the year of the dragon, she can be in your face. She doesn't have a lot of fear. She is very invincible. Dragons are impossible to kill. If we know the story of the Godzilla, every time he's done killing the dragon, that the beast is trying to kill man, and that's what the dragon is notorious for being benefic towards mankind. And every time the Godzilla fights the animal that wants to kill mankind, they can't kill him. He just goes back to his cave. Dragons are not, then you cannot kill them. They're invincible. And so the dragon goes back into his cave where he is most comfortable. And so that means that dragon people born in the year of the dragon, like to have some kind of solitude, very similar to the tiger. In fact, there's a lot of similarity between the dragon and the tiger to begin with.
But
both of them have as their natural element the wood. Wood is belonging to the tiger and to the next sign, which is the rabbit or the cat, and the next sign, which is
these are also
Aries,
lucky
the dragon.
signs. All lucky
so
signs.
wood is sort of fortunate, but she's born in a metal year, which crushes wood. So the dragon can be overwhelming this year because it is, the metal year, well, actually the opposite would be true. The metal forces her to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
And the wood is not necessarily disciplined. They're investigatory. They
Right.
spread like roots. But their strength is that they get to know a lot of things at one time.
Yes.
And they know how to, if they need to, how to manipulate, because they gain a lot of knowledge very quickly.
Well, I'd like to, we'll talk about how like the dragon corresponds to Aries. And what I like to say is, because it's the Aries that, in one regard, it takes them a really long time to learn something. My youngest is an Aries, but they're very brave. They have innocent intentions. They don't have bad intentions for what they do, and their ability to accomplish actually comes from a place of innocence. It's difficult for us to imagine, but they simply feel brave. They feel brave and they don't see immediate danger. They just see what they're going to do in that moment. And if they're not in action in that moment, then they're out of the picture and they're just mellow and cool.
China says that the female dragon is desired by most men.
I know, that's what I'm worried about with the Capricorn, because she's going to have some suitors.
They want the tiger female, the dragon female, because she brings honor to the home.
Yes, it represents the emperor.
Right. The dragon in China is considered the most awesome sign. Every time there is a new year, they burn a dragon to indicate that they've defeated the most powerful animal and that we now have fortune. When it comes time to bring in the year of the dragon, they have no other animal to burn except another dragon, because nothing is stronger than the dragon.
So what I would like to do is spend a little time talking about her as Liz as the Gemini, year of the pig, or year of the boar, the metal pig.
Well, the pig is going to be very protective of the daughter.
And Angelita has some questions about her son.
Okay, the pig will defend her daughter with all her heart.
Yes.
The pigs are very notorious for defending the people they love.
This is the animal that will let its young nurse from it until it
dies, right. The pig has there's no limit to what you can take from the pig. This is a problem for the pig. But, of course, that's true of certain types. There are types of pigs who are hogs, and that's why we call people hogs when they take everything. Matter of fact, many of the expressions that we call each other come from animals.
Of course, which we know, yeah.
Want to go to the sun?
Oh, yeah. So, so I just wanted to add that with a Gemini combination with year of the boar, because year of the boar, year of the pig, that corresponds to Scorpio.
Well, the Gemini pig makes a much easier pig to get along with.
And I don't know that maybe necessarily other astrologers would agree with me, but I personally think that the Scorpio is the most sensitive sign in the zodiac.
And that it is pretty much the most sensitive.
It's like sweet and kind, and it really is all of those things. It's just that when the Scorpio or the year of the pig, they make a mistake, that's when the venom comes out and they start attacking themselves and attacking others.
But the horse is
it's an emotional.
But her month being connected to the year of the horse is gregarious. It applies to humankind. It's friendly. It's non-aggressive. It's considered one of the friends. The dog and the horse are considered the ones closest to the human being. They will get close to human beings in ways that other animals won't. So you happen to be a horse pig. This would be the way we would describe your month and your year. As your year is most important in China, the month is secondary. You would be horse pig. This is very nice because the month, which is the horse, represents the way your intellect works, and the year represents the way your heart matter is, or your inner essence. So by mind, you're able to communicate with anybody.
And
by heart, let's just say that when you establish friendship, they become family, and you will defend them.
So this is a combination, for example, that's why Gemini is so nice with this, because the pig, the scorpion tends to be, spiritual, and it could be like, the dark forces, whatever, but most likely not. Usually it is a really nice, traditional form of spirituality. And having that Gemini, that will just color in and make your spiritual world so much more rich. And it will get you where you need to go.
I'm going to do the sun.
So we're going to switch to Angie, I'm sorry, we'll call you Angie. I'm sorry, I feel like such a dork. Angie's son. Oh, interesting. Very similar. So he was born September 6th, 1976.
Oh, wow.
So here's another dragon.
Now we have an interesting combination. Because according to China, he would, of course, be a fire dragon.
His year is fire. Oh, yeah. So from the decades, it goes the natural element, and then the 0 and 1 is metal, 2, 3 is water, 4, 5 is wood.
We're talking about the last digit of the year.
Yeah, the last digit of the year. So 1970, 1971 would be metal, 1972, 73 would be water, 74, 75 would be wood, 76, 77 is fire, 78, 79
earth, and then we
is
repeat,
earth,
and then we repeat back to 0. So every year that ends in one of those 2 digits have the quality that was just described. In the case of your son, he was born in fire.
And she's a metal tiger.
But she's a metal tiger, right? But they should get along because
the Virgo and the Gemini.
The dragon gets along with the tiger. The Virgo has some conditions that they can share with Gemini, although there could be a little conflict there. However, we have to look at him. He's born in what we would say a very fortunate year.
Yeah.
Because in China, the elements each progress after one another. As they progress, one element creates, the one that's created defends, and then another element comes, which is an enemy of 2 before. So to make it simple, we'd say that 0 and 1 will not get along with 6 and 7. 0 and 1 are metal, 6 and 7 are fire. Why wouldn't they get along? Because fire would melt metal. So this is to indicate now some of what would go on between you and your son. He would tend to be fiery, and you would be metal. You want to be crystal clear. He wants total liberty. Now, is this really, really bad? Not so bad. Why? Because the fact that he's born in fire calms his nature. He's protected. Why? The enemy of fire, of wood, which is the nature of the dragon. The dragon still carries its nature as wood, but the year happens to be the way he has to express that nature. So he's wood year, wood animal, but he has to express through fire. Fire is the next element after wood. So it is the protector of wood, because the enemy of wood is metal. So fire attacks metal to stop the attack on the wood. This person, your son, happens to be born in a year where he's protected. So he tends to be almost laissez-faire, too easygoing, doesn't worry about anything. He doesn't have enemies. This is in the nature of the being. So he would be easier to get along with than someone else who's born in fire with the mother who's born in metal. He would be not as bad because he's not anxious. He doesn't have the reason to exercise his prowess or his power or his ego nature. He doesn't have a need for that. Now, going back to him, he is born in the month of Virgo. This corresponds to the year of the chicken, which they call here the rooster. The Chinese calls it the chicken, and the chicken has a rooster type. And
Keanu Reeves is a Virgo year of the dragon, but it's 1964. He's 12 years older. That'll kind of give you an idea.
Reeves is born in the year of the dragon, but he's born in the year that is same as the animal's nature. He's born in 64. 4 is wood. The dragon likes wood, but he is a Virgo dragon. Now, to say a little bit more about him, both Keanu Reeves and your son, in China, the chicken is considered the queen of the Chinese zodiac. And guess what? The dragon is considered the emperor of the Chinese zodiac. So your son is year of the emperor, month of the queen. So he's special. And he will know that he's special, and he will act like he is special. And Virgo can be one of the most pleasant signs to be around, or one of the most difficult signs to be around, because they're also called mutable signs, just like the mother and father are both Gemini. Gemini happens to be a mutable sign. And mutability means changeability. So at best, you're more interesting, more colorful. At worst, there can be confusion and conflict and adversary going on without knowing why. So you mix this. We have a little bit of everything. It happens to be what you are most comfortable with, which is the part of you that you will express. And all astrology does is tell you how these things might express themselves, and you will better know how other people act and how other people receive your actions.
Yeah, she said what she had said here. Yes, he is special. She's so proud of him. I thought what was really interesting is what she said. Oh, yes, we had some tough years and wanted to be totally independent from the age of 4. And I wanted to say about that, it's especially people that are born in the fire years. So Michael, for example, is actually a 46 dog. He was born as a fire dog, and I'm a metal dog.
Right. So we have a little conflict there, but we get along.
If I was anything other than a Sag, it might not work. But
well, what helps is that I have Mars in Cancer, which is water. It subdues the force and the full nature.
So his Mars is trine by Venus
of Aries, and the other thing, it gets more complex, and we don't want to take up the time with your time with our personality.
Right. So what I wanted to say about the independent aspect of him is the fire years, they are very present. They are immediately rebellious.
In your face.
They know who they are.
Yeah, fire is in your face. You don't need to try to guess what they're doing there. They're right there. They're not invisible. They're too exposed. Fire is exposed. Metal is not, but fire is. Metal protects itself. Fire has no fear.
And so the biggest thing that you have to deal with dragons, and like Aries, because I have an Aries child and an Aries husband.
But I thought he was a Virgo.
Oh, he is, but no, I was explaining the dragon.
Okay.
The dragon. So the dragon nature of it is that they're not really familiar with their feelings. Like, you have to identify feelings. You have to sit with them. You have to explain. Like, they act so quickly sometimes that they don't have enough time emotionally to catch up. And that's
they get past the issues. They move so quickly, because the problem with the dragon is that it is the first sign, and it is instructed to fight for its nature. And so it has that orientation to go beyond at all costs. So it takes them a while to learn that maybe they should have thought a while. Maybe they should have backed up a little bit. Maybe they should have waited for the other person to catch up to them. They don't think of this, especially with the fire present. The fire has to burn at that moment. And of course, one of the things that you may have experienced with your son or not is that depression is very terrible for the dragon. If the dragon gets depressed, it's near death, because fire would be like fire is being burnt, as being
Right.
burnt, what is snuffed out.
Yeah, and that's why, right, it's like, yeah, so that's why it's really important that, like, those particular signs we really have to sit with emotionally. And even like Virgo, I thought what was so funny when you're talking about him being independent. The Virgo can also be, it's incredible, but it can also be the self-undoing. So when I got that image, what I got the image of is this little boy who wants to be really independent, and the Virgo brain is already sabotaging itself. And so you just have to stay in there and just help them deal with their emotions. That's how you deal with the
That's what
dragon.
Virgo is notorious in the
Right.
Western zodiac as the sign of self-undoing.
Right.
It is after all, it represents the harvest of the produce, and nature is in sorrow. So Virgo is the sign of sorrows.
Right.
But these
But
discussions
also
on
hard work and
yeah,
utility.
we will be
Yeah.
discussing a lot of this in our other chat discussions, and until and between that and the live programs, people will learn astrology the correct way. Things that are not taught by astrologers,
Our way anyway.
and things that are ignored by astrologers, and where astrologers make big issues out of nothing, and they want to predict all the time. This is not predictable information.
It's in probabilities, and it's also about us being empowered to know ourselves. That's the most important.
This is the thing
Right.
that we represent, the issue of knowledge as it was intended to be. And you'll realize that if you follow these podcasts, that you're going to be getting presented with real knowledge, practical knowledge, useful knowledge, not this stellar dream
Right.
and being in the clouds and talking these vernacular, or should I say, these technical
Right, the
words that mean nothing.
Right, the mainstream colloquialisms. Well, the same thing happens too, right? I mean, we become pop psychologists. We kind of put something together, and that we loosely understand, and then we run with it, and then find ourselves disappointed.
And you will appreciate why astrology is not a predictable form of information by the fact that we present the truth, and we will show you where it begins, where it ends, how much of it is applicable, and when it's not.
Right. What's predictable? It's really what's predictable about it isn't what. It's not organized the way that we ask questions.
It's within the framework of
But you
possibilities.
guys probably already know that, especially if you came here.
If we use the word predictable, it simply means within the framework of possibilities.
Right.
But keeping in mind that when you use astrology, it is a form of knowledge that impels, sort of indicates a mood or a presence, but it does not compel, does not force anyone to be anything. So how would you predict when you have free will? It's not possible.
Right. Because what you're doing is free will. So, and we'll discuss this again. Free will comes from an orientation of facility about your level of consciousness or our level of ignorance.
The way you've developed and all of that.
And so
it comprises the way you've processed information and restored and stored information.
And our growth happens our entire lives. So we're asking ourselves, did I do that right all the time? And so every time we're asking ourselves that question, we're like, okay, what amount of free will was involved with that, right?
Right.
So
anything, anybody else that we need to talk to?
So did you guys have anybody else that you wanted us to read for?
Yeah, we can give you information on any people, anybody you want to compare.
Yes, and Angelita, definitely what I can do.
Yeah, of course you have to know their birthday and their time.
Right.
Their time we don't need to know unless we're doing a chart. But if we're going to do this, what we call sidereal reading, or should I say ephemeral, where the planets are positioned and how the Chinese system is organized, we can do that ad lib right off the bat once we have the information of month, day, and year.
So Angelita,
that is all we need.
Yes. So what you can do, we can schedule a reading with you, and Nothing, by the way, nothing is fixed. So we can schedule and do a reading with you, and because she wants to know when a good time to sell her house is. So that's precisely what I would
Sell
use.
her house?
Yeah, so that's exactly
Well, you're protected in the year of the tiger. If you're
right.
the one that's the main reason for selling, I would say you can make that decision, but you would lean on your
Oh.
husband because he's also very practical. But the tiger is not to be fooled. The tiger knows what it wants.
We have another Liz here, so now I have some more requests. Hi, Liz. Hi, Liz V. I have Liz R and Liz V. Welcome. So Liz V has a question about her daughter.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not her daughter, her granddaughter.
sure.
The granddaughter was born the 16th of February, 2011.
Oh, she's
that's
born
an
in the year of the
Aquarius.
cat.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I have
the
a
Chinese.
granddaughter that's an Aries
the-
year of the cat
the-
as well.
The Chinese call it the year of the rabbit. Let's understand that in China, the Vietnamese call it the year of the cat. We prefer to call that year the cat because most people are more familiar with cats than they are with rabbits. But the Chinese use the same glyph to describe or to depict what a cat is and what a rabbit is. They use the same glyph. It would be as if we used the same word to describe both animals. Since if you look at the two animals when they sit on a lawn, they appear to be the same. They sit the same way. Their ears and their bodies almost have take on the same shape when they sit to one another. And if you were to hold either one of these two animals, both animals will, if you don't yet, they need to be held tight so they feel safe. And when they're not, they will start kicking with their back legs. The cat and the rabbit kick with their back legs when you're holding them. Both of them will turn their heads and nip you in the arm. Both the cat and the rabbit do this. So the Chinese say that their natures are similar. And so they use only one glyph to describe that. Or the Chinese used the animals that they use to describe the astrology that they have created is a practical form of astrology. It deals with the animals of the earth, and they've grouped them as 12 types.
Oh, she's an Aquarius. This is
She's
interesting.
an Aquarius. She's born in the month of the tiger, the
And
year of the cat.
And so she's
very, very coy.
She just
very,
turned 11. So
very coy.
So now
very,
we're at the tween stage.
Very
The
prissy. Should be somewhat of a what's the word? Not a show up, but somebody who feels dignified.
She may want to, if she doesn't go this route, but she may have a tendency to sort of preen herself.
Right. She will show that she's very dignified.
Yes.
Yeah, she's very dignified, very prepared, very smart.
And she arranges the play dates for the friends. She's in charge of the make believe.
Well, she knows what's
probably
going
not into
on.
that too much right now.
Cats tend to know things that were not gained by someone teaching them. They seem to have universal knowledge. It corresponds to the month of Pisces. And Pisces is the last sign which surrenders. So cats will run away from fear. They're difficult to keep close to you. They always want to have a certain space to themselves. They don't really trust too many things at all. But the tiger is even more distrusting. We didn't cover this in the last two tigers that we described.
Yeah.
The tiger is distrusting of everything because the tiger only understands itself. It doesn't understand everything else. The real fear of the tiger is that they don't know. And so when they don't know, usually everything is preceded with the lack of knowledge. They always start off by asking a question of what they don't know. They want to know. So distrusting is a way of keeping ignorance out of their sight.
Right.
That they can just function according to what they know is certain.
They channel information themselves in an order that's comfortable for them.
And so your daughter, who is the year of the cat, will come across as very vulnerable, but she's not. She's not vulnerable at all because her month is tiger. And tigers are very fearless and very strong. They can be very vicious, but they can also be very kind.
Right.
China considers
and the only fear the tiger has is fear of the unknown. That's the only fear they have.
The tiger, according to China, you and the tiger make good friends because they're humanistic. When we look at the Western sign Aquarius, Western astrology says Aquarius is the sign of the man. the man of space,
Of
the man
human
who is
humanity.
exposed to knowledge,
Right.
and he bears water. The
Right.
Aquarius,
Bears weight.
he's not a water sign; he's an air sign because air is intellect, like Gemini and Libra, and they pour water. Water is the intelligence, and that is what Aquarius is doing. It's pouring its knowledge onto mankind. But China says you and the tiger are good friends until one of you get hungry. Then you know who will eat.
Now, in this
But
tween
your
stage,
daughter is primarily the cat and secondarily the tiger. So the cat is the nature you want to depend on, not the tiger.
in this tween stage, I want to say what's going to be interesting to watch here is there are probably a lot of boys that like her, and she may be quietly boy crazy.
Mhm.
It's not unless she does in the
Well, they won't go unnoticed.
right. But the Aquarius, of course, they keep things to themselves.
Right.
They I would say so. I always say that the sweetest sign is Scorpio, and the most stubborn sign, despite what everybody else thinks, is the Aquarius. And it has to
You
do
think
with
so? No,
oh,
I
so.
think Taurus is way
He
more
thinks-
stubborn
I
than
don't think
Aquarius.
so. But
Well, I'm sorry. I think Taurus, the snake, is the most stubborn of all the
Right.
signs
and he has really good reasons for that. And I
because
have,
the tiger
right.
has feelings, whereas the snake does not.
It's
So
much more difficult. It's much more difficult to get a tiger to change their mind. They have certain rules.
what you're
They're only
seeing
going
here
to
is
be-
that there
right.
there is overlapping of qualities. She tends to see more of the stubbornness in Aquarius, but I've been looking at these signs for a long, long time, and Taurus, considering the animal nature that it is in the West, and then in the East. In the West, it's the bull, and in the East, it's the snake. And the snake is very clever, and they are able to capture anything they want because they're intent on doing something. Once they make up their minds, you will not change it. That's not the way you will find tigers. Tigers will be stubborn, but if you are emotionally hurt, the tiger will yield to you.
Oh, sure.
Well,
Absolutely.
but not the snake.
Sure.
Not
Well,
the-
I'm thinking, right, I'm
that's why
thinking
I
more
said-
along the lines of I have better luck changing a Taurus's
A
mind
mental
than I do-
argument. A mental
yeah,
argument.
than
Yes,
I do an
Aquarius.
Aquarius.
In mental
Yeah.
arguments, the Aquarian, the snake,
But the
will
thing
fight
that's
like hell.
right. So I wanted to say, so this she's also going to be independent. She's also going to be very self-soothing. She can handle her own stuff. She's going to kind of keep things to herself.
She'll be independent, but she'll always come across, especially if anybody
Oh,
who's
yeah.
willing to help her,
Right.
as somebody who's needy because
Right.
she's frail and fragile, and this is what they give off, not what they actually are.
And you could also get somebody. So sometimes you get the cats, or like they know how to stroke people the right way to kind
Right.
of get.
They
what
get them
want,
to
be
change their
charming.
minds.
You know
Right.
who's a really beautiful year of the cat person is? I don't know if you guys remember. It's probably before most of us were born, but Capucine. Cappuccini, I think it was Cappuccini, the actress. She was in North to Alaska, and she was in some James Bond.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it's very pretty, very a Capricorn cat.
And
yeah.
she's elegant, and she's just
fragile looking.
right,
Yeah.
right. But she has just this huge personality, and you don't expect that to come out of her. So
So you have to remember the combination too.
right. Well, she's a Capricorn.
The Capricorn is established. Remember,
Right.
Joan of Arc was a Capricorn.
Yes.
So anybody else?
So she would. Yeah. Let's. Oh, so I want to. Angelita's.
I thought we were talking to a Liz now.
We are, but Angelita asked about her husband, or no, Liz, the other Liz V. And let me know if you have any other further questions, Liz V, about your granddaughter. I wanted to go ahead with Liz. Since we're here,
Granddaughter? I thought they were talking about your
no.
daughter.
That was Liz V. So we have two Liz's.
Oh, okay.
So Christopher Reeve's sister, Liz Reeves. No, you'd be a sister-in-law, right? Her husband is September 11th, 1969.
Chicken.
Yeah. Oh, that would be
A
actually.
double chicken.
And she's year of the pig, the 71 pig.
I thought you said 69. Oh, the mother is 71.
Oh, the wife. Yeah.
The wife. I'm getting confused.
Oh, Liz is his wife. She's talking about her husband.
Oh, her husband.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, a Virgo chicken.
A double chicken.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, the year and the month belong to the chicken. Let's try to understand something when we call these names by their proper name in China. The chicken can either be a hen type or a rooster type. There's
Well,
no such thing as the year of the rooster
pretty
because it
good
belongs
chance,
to the
yeah.
chicken.
If he's married to Liz Reeves, he's
Right.
probably a
And it
rooster.
doesn't matter whether it's a male or a female. The female could be a rooster type or a hen type, and the male can be a rooster type or a hen type. In either case, this person, the husband, is the year of the chicken, but he is born in the earth year of the chicken. The earth is good, is not bad for chickens because earth is what gives rise to metal. Out of the earth comes the metal. So the year 8 and 9, which are earth years, then produce 0 and 1 years, which are the metal years. So this is a good relationship between the two. However, the chicken prefers metal and earth is before metal. So one of the things that China will say about him is that he could be somewhat frustrated that things are not coming along as quickly or as well as they wanted it to, because he's operating backwards. He's operating out of the earth, which is to keep quiet and wrapped up. Earth people hide what they feel.
Right.
And they hide a reaction response. If they're offended by someone, you'll not see a response on them until much later. They might bring it up later.
Right.
Because the earth hides what's going on, according to China.
Sometimes he'll have people find people or his friends or his family saying, "Oh my God, why didn't you tell me that way back when?"
They'll say something that happened.
Why didn't you say something?
And they'll be asked, why didn't you respond then? They don't have a clue for it. It could be because they're not sure how to respond. It could be because...
You're very welcome, Liz B. Right.
And it could be because they want to investigate further whether there was some other meaning. And third, to see what would result later and make sure that they've covered it well. And so that's why it's taking them so long. But they tend to do that same process with everything. Everything has to be digested and contemplated and discovered. And so that it looks like they can be cumbersome. However, they can also be very gentle, very kind. Earth people tend to pay a lot of attention on what they say. And they tend to mean what they say.
Yeah.
If an earth person says they love you, this is someone who really loves you.
And the important
because
thing
they've contemplated it for a long time before they spoke.
The important thing about the cock or the chicken is that they can repeat their performance, by the way. They are consistent.
Right.
So if they're a screw up, they're always a screw up. But if they're fantastic, they're always fantastic.
It's like looking at ducks when they're born. They follow whoever they see. So it's called imprinting. Imprinting is to repeat over and over what they've seen. So it's difficult for them to change their minds or their way. But if you have a lot of patience with them, eventually they'll come around. But it'll take a long time.
I have another question. You know what? We're here. We may as well keep going. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
How long is our podcast today?
So, we can actually go as long as we want. So I had one more question. So I wanted to, she kind of came in after a bit, but I want to get her since she's here. So she's having difficulty with her son. He was born 3/15/67. And I mean, she was born 3/15/67.
She is what, the mother?
Yeah. And then her son is November 28th, 1978.
Well, the mother, what's her name? Liz again?
No, this is Linda.
Linda.
Linda B.
Linda, well, you have something in common with a great artist. The great artist, Michelangelo, who was
there you go.
Pisces like you. Is born when? 57 or 67?
She was born in 57.
Oh, 57. Well, then I have it wrong.
She's a firecock or the fire.
I thought you said 67.
No,
okay,
50.
So 57. Okay, so you're also the chicken. Was the son the chicken too?
No, the son is the horse. He's November 28th.
Well, that was the other person.
Right. This is Linda.
Yeah, we got to get clear on
us.
when we
Linda just joined us.
Okay, so this is not the one we were talking to before.
Yeah.
All right, so you are the month of the cat, the year of the chicken, fire chicken. Very strong position for the chicken, but there's a problem with being a fire chicken, and that problem is that the chicken its natural element is metal, and the year that you are born is fire. Fire melts metal. So there's a conflict in your chart between your Eastern sign and your Western sign. The metal wants to be precise. It wants to have selected the best of all possibilities. It wants to be scrupulous. It wants to have no imperfections around it. It needs to shine. And where they live, they usually have everything in very nice order. They always dress up fairly meticulously, in a very nice style, always similar, and they can count on that quality to represent who they are all the time. So their clothing has a statement to make about who they are. The chicken is notorious for being able to investigate anything that is required to be known. So they make good technicians, they make good researchers, they make good people who are measuring things or getting precise information. They have the ability to produce the same thing over and over again in a very precise way. They are able to see things from the small point of view. What makes something tick? They're able to scope out things to the most small particle possible. The problem with this is that the chicken oftentimes misses the large picture. So they see the trees, but they don't see the forest. It's one of the problems with them. The problem with this fire chicken is that the metal person wants to be obeying the law. It wants to be using all of the properties of nature to become more perfect. What China says about metal is that it moves, all the Chinese elements deal with movement. Western elements deal with condition of the person. So the movement of fire is always to disobey nature. It is the fire who breaks the rules. Fire breaks all the rules. Why? Because things have to change. And what changes everything? Fire. Fire destroys in order for new things to be born. So there's that tendency to speak out and say what you mean, while at the same time, as a metal person, you want to be showing yourself in the most pleasant way, in the most acceptable way. You want to be proper. They want to have covered all conditions. They want to see perfection. What this metal does in China, it says that it always collects itself to the center until all the impurities around them are removed, and now we're left with gold. So the intent of the metal person, which the chicken is a metal animal, is to perfect. But the tendencies, the way you have to deliver this chicken is through fire. And so you'll do things that you will later regret a little bit or a lot, because you spoke out before you were able to really select the best possible response. But the problem for fire is that usually fire acts out when nothing else is moving. No one else is doing something about it. And so then the fire engages. It has to,
Right.
Because it has to burn. So there's a little bit of internal conflict going on all the time for you.
Did we discuss that the sun, being year of the horse, has a tendency to be misanthropic and judgmental?
What are we talking about?
Her son is a
I was talking about her.
Oh, no, I was just saying, but I'm sorry.
Well, you got to shift over. The sun could be
Okay.
the planet sun.
All right, so go ahead and continue with what you were saying.
Well, I'm just saying, I think I finished it off. The fire person is usually warm. A lot of their what seems to be destructive tendencies are really beneficial. And when people have left you because they think you're being too forceful, they will eventually miss you because
Yes.
you are also warm, generous, and very giving. And so they come back. They have to come back. Anyway, let's get on to your son, which was what Carrie started to talk about.
So I apologize. I have to work out my little allergy issue here.
Come in here.
Oh, I'm going to scooch over a little bit.
Okay.
So with the horse, the horse tends to be, and since because I have a younger brother who is the same age.
He's born 2 days after you.
Yeah. 2 days, yeah. So I have a younger brother who is a Capricorn that same year, and they tend to be sort of high-minded. They're a little snobbish.
It's quirky. The 78 horse is a quirky horse.
And they can be unforgiving. But they are
the Capricorn may be, but not the Sagittarian.
Horses can be unforgiving. They can be judgmental. Not so much in terms of, well, this has been my experience with horses.
This is with your brother, but
and my ex-husband.
I don't see the horses unforgiving at all. I'm sorry about that.
Well, when they're hard on people.
Your brother is that way, but there are other conditions that have to be in the picture.
Yes.
78 horse happens to be a fortunate horse because
yes,
it is born in the element that is made by fire. Fire is the nature of the horse. And 8 is an earth year, so
Right.
he's protected. So he's carefree. He doesn't worry about too many things. Your brother was putting on an attitude with you. It wasn't because he's not forgiving.
Oh,
He's very kind in many ways.
well, and sometimes what the directions that Michael and I are talking about, we have two different frames of references. So for me, my experience has been that horses are fair. They are about fairness and justice, but they can also be show-offs. Like who do we have in gosh, the governor of Florida? Gosh, why can't
My
I think
niece
of his
Linda
name?
is a 78.
Yeah, she's a Taurus, so she's super great.
Well, it's the horse that makes it that way. The Taurus is not all that affectionate. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, my goodness, here we go. So, well, this is going to be fun for you guys.
You're getting to learn how you look at astrology because no one person can say it all. So between us, we intermix our knowledge, and some of what she's saying definitely applies, and what I say also applies. So now you're going to start to see that astrology
So
is
what's
not
the
so
conflict
simple.
about?
Yeah, astrology is not so simple as somebody just reading a paragraph about Aries or about Taurus or about Gemini. You're getting to see how the sign can what is it, morphs into many different directions. And what we're covering is how we pair these conditions together.
So, what the conflict could be about is, first of all, he is month of the rat, and
Well, I will say something. I'm sorry for interrupting. One of the reasons why he would appear to be so negative to you is because Capricorn wants to be the boss.
Mhm.
And that's where you're getting the negative is coming from his Capricorn nature, not from his horse. The horse nature. My father was born the year of the horse. My niece is the year of the horse. They can be selfish, no question about it.
because right. So what we're really
But
talking
they're not
about,
cruel.
what
They're
we're really
not-
talking about is the freewheeling nature of the horse. They want to run. They want to be free. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't, even when they play with morality a lot. Like, not so much that they're amoral, but they're like, but why is it like that when it could be like this? And I don't see why I have to do that.
But let's remember that the horse corresponds to the month of Gemini.
Gemini, right?
So your son is a Gemini in his heart, while in his head he's a Sagittarius, which corresponds to the year of the mouse,
And
which
he's
is about intelligence.
year of
So
the mouth
in
by
his heart,
mouse by
he's
month.
he's a horse. So he's
And
unpredictable.
she's year of the cat by
Yeah.
month.
But he's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Who's the cat? Who's the year of
She's
the cat?
March 16th. She is month of the cat by month.
Oh, month
and
of the
he's
cat.
year
Yes,
of the cat.
month of the cat. So as the horse, he will be a little bit. He will be definitely a show off, but they're elegant. And let's remember, the Romans called the astrologers called Gemini because the Romans considered the horse a gem, and that's why they are. And most people that own horses, they give them all these weird names because they treat them as gems, and they consider the horse very elevated, and only rich people own the horse. So you have to, when you're dealing with a horse, you're dealing with something special, as opposed to dealing with two dogs like us. We get beat up, and we just have to obey our owners and do what is told to us to do. Because dogs have no ego, whereas the horse has the greatest ego of the 12 zodiacal signs, of the Chinese signs as well. Could be also true of the Western signs, that Gemini has peculiarities that are greater. Gemini, by the way, is an intellectual sign. So one of his qualities, because he's born in the year.
But why the conflict? That's the question. Why the conflict? What's that answer?
Which conflict?
There is a conflict between the two of them, and she wants to understand it. That's the question.
Well, they're born in opposite signs. By year, the chicken versus the horse. The chicken is opposite the horse. Chicken is the month of.
It's not opposite the horse. It's trine.
No, the horse is Gemini,
Opposite
and the chicken is Virgo. What are you talking about? The horse is Gemini.
Right.
The chicken is Virgo.
Yes.
So they're square each other. What was I looking at that was opposite? Oh, I was mixing up
They're
the
not.
year with.
I think you used the wrong word.
this is Pisces and
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius.
Yes.
They're not opposite either.
No.
Well, what I would see basically is that the horse is not going to respond the way you expect him to. There, you cannot predict the actions of the horse. So if there's a conflict, it is because the 57 chicken wants everything to be exact. Okay, very exact, and the Pisces can be very motherly and overly protective,
Right.
and may get worried that he's too out of control.
Right. At worst, what could possibly be happening is that he may feel a little suffocated.
He's a Sagittarian. He's going to
Right.
disobey anyway.
But you're very hardworking, very serious, practical. You want to use things correctly and you want them to be right. And you're very conscientious about how you live your life and what you do.
But he
And
has
so-
a problem with himself here.
Right.
He's
Right.
in the month of Sagittarius, the year of Gemini, or the horse, and Sagittarius and Gemini are opposite each other, which means he has an inner conflict with himself. So he's actually acting out the disagreement or his frustrations, and you're taking them as your responsibility. Because the chicken,
Right. Like you're getting caught in the crossfire
the
of him
chicken is
arguing
going to
with
want
himself.
to protect and
Right.
mother the child.
Right.
He is fighting with himself. As a result, he'll do battle with you because he will blame somebody for his confusion or for his conflict. And that's what you're going through. You're not going through something that you did or he did. It's what's going on in his head and how he's responding to you because he's trying to solve something that's going on within himself. And in himself, he's battling. As he grows up, he's going to learn to do both sides. For now, he hasn't realized that there are two sides to everything. And his astrological positions put him in signs that oppose each other. His month is Gemini. I mean, his month is
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius,
And his
and
year
his
is
year
Gemini.
and his year belongs to Gemini. Sagittarius and Gemini are opposite. Gemini being the mutable sign or the last sign of the spring, and Sagittarius being a mutable sign, the last sign of autumn. They oppose each other and they complete each other. When you have these two signs in conflict in your chart, at the beginning there'll be a lot of this uncertainty, and there's confusion, and that'll act it out through emotional and sometimes unwarranted anger or
Right.
frustration. And you as
The horse's love bite is really rough.
and you as the right, and you as the well, there are other problems with the horse. China says, be careful when you not to stand too close to the horse, because if he doesn't kick you in the gut, he will shit on your feet. What does that mean? Shit on your feet. Let's put it into language that we understand. If he kicks you in the butt, it means that he can be rough with his language, he can be rough with his actions, because he doesn't really pay attention to how clumsy he can get until he's evolved, until he's become something. Then he can become an incredible stallion. For now, he might be a wild horse. That's his month. That's his year. His month is Sagittarius. What was I talking about? Oh no, we're talking about the Sagittarius.
Well, if you
So
standing too close
if you
to the
stand too
horse.
close to the horse, you have to be careful it doesn't kick you in the gut, or that it'll shit on your feet. Shitting on your feet in a language that's easier to understand, what it really means is that shitting on your feet is that things come out of their mouths. You heard the expression "out of the horse's mouth."
Well, yeah, or what?
So things will come out of their mouths that they didn't really mean, and it oftentimes is offensive, and they don't realize that because they're not thinking at all. Now, thinking is a very important part of Gemini, but they're not thinking when they're speaking because the horse just lets it loose. And that could be another thing that is a calamity or a problem between the two of you, because as a Pisces, you're more sensitive to these, let's call them these insults that were never, even if they were not intended. But the horse does not know how to become more congenial, more sophisticated until it gets older. In the beginning, it's just exercising its extra strength, and it doesn't pay attention to what damage it does.
What I say, what I always advise in these situations, just look at your own nature. Just look at your energy. Don't get in the stuff. Don't, it's not about the thing that's, it's never that. Back off and just evaluate your own energy. And that's what you have to do, is kind of think of, where do you want to send your energy? What direction do you want it to go? How does that work? Because in actuality, by the way, the element of fire for the fire chicken is actually supporting, which we very
This
clearly.
is Linda.
Yes, it is supporting the earth year, and the earth at the end of the day does protect the fire.
Well, I want to add something about Linda. Linda is also part of the problem here,
Yeah,
because it's the fire chicken. And the fire chicken wants everything to be right, everything to be perfect. And they tend to be like soldiers almost. And so that you might be giving too much weight to things that he's doing. He is, after all, exercising his unknown talents. You're afraid that it's not going to be right, because as a fire person, you want to jump in and show them the way. Fire will take over where it can. He's an earth horse, so he will yield to you, but he inside feels that you might even be too much controlling to him. And whether you are or you're not,
that's
fact is that this is how he's interpreting it. And you have that tendency to do something and continue to do it no matter what.
This will lighten up. Listen, he's at an age. This will lighten up.
Yeah, but
pretty soon.
she's got to loosen up too.
Oh,
she's
she
a
will.
fire
Yeah.
I'm saying
That's
that
what I'm
about
saying.
myself. I
Right,
have the
that's what
same problem. I'm a fire dog, and fire wants to take over, and that's a problem. She and I have had that problem. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I just wanted to just say that the nature of these elements together, the natures of how these energies work, when we have a time, and we almost have to start like really small. Like, you have the opportunity, like, ask yourself, okay, I'm going into conflict. When is the opportunity? How can I be supportive of him in this moment? Or is he being protective of me in this moment? Just start asking.
Or maybe just let him run. I would say let the horse run until he uses up his energy. That's just a colloquial way of putting it.
Right. Of course.
Because he is fortunate. He's probably not going to get into much trouble. So 78, he's protected.
Right. So it's just in those moments. Is just to start with, ask, am I being supportive or is he being protective? First, ask that question and see how far you can get with it. And things will gradually lighten up.
Yeah, and also that as a fire person, you have to realize that you're powerful and you may overwhelm him. So maybe it would be good if you could just say, let him be the way he is and let me see what happens.
Right.
And just wait and see what the results are, because he is going to surprise you. He will. He
Definitely.
He has a benefic combination.
Yes, good luck, Linda. And
he's got very good signs. He's a Sagittarius, who's very knowledgeable, and the horse, which is very agreeable usually.
So thank you everyone for coming. We got a good hour and a half program out of this, and thank you so much for being here with us.
And we'll do this again when?
We are going to be here again Friday. And also we're going to be doing presentations of different videos,
on YouTube,
right, looking at individual charts. We will also be interviewing different people. I have a very dear friend, we have to get him set up technologically, who is a medicine man in Santee, Nebraska, who we will be having a conversation with him and kind of the state of the world and events. I have my holistic doctor, my dear friend who is in charge of the first responders for the 9/11 psychological treatment in Long Island. Hopefully we'll be able to interview her as well. But all of you, thank you so much, and many blessings to you. And we will be back here
until
Friday.
The next day.
Yes.
Until Friday. Okay.
Sending you love always.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's okay that we have a dispute on